Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. It's Frank. American Eagle Rises. How you guys doing for Saturday, huh? Today's is today the 22nd? Today's the 20th. Sorry. All I know is it's Saturday. Yeah, it was actually pretty nice outside. It's not gonna last much longer. It looks like rain's gonna be coming maybe tomorrow night. But yeah, I actually kind of went to bed slightly later yesterday. It was like right around midnight. And oddly, I didn't. I think I first woke up. Well, I don't know. I don't know. I think it was like 7 o'clock. I can't remember. All I know is I remember I was like, oh, it's just it's not quite 8 o'clock, and I'm like, all right, I'll just flip over. And normally I only like when I do that. Like normally it's what the hell. Sorry guys, it was caught on the chair. But normally it's like no more than an hour, and I woke up and I was like almost 10. I'm like, what? So I must have been kind of tired, but man, I'm probably gonna be tired today, guys. So, yeah. So I got a little bit of a late jump. Did my normal walk-in, and we did a lot of work outside in the garage. I'm gonna try and just this. I don't know. This ain't the greatest. My tripod's only like this. I don't know what. I think I can make it go a little bit higher, but if I put it on the ground, it's not gonna look all that great. But oh yeah, that's right. This is like a USB camera thing, so it's a web camera kinda. So I might have to do it on my phone. I don't have a video camera or anything like that. So just doing a bunch of wire, I call it wire, what would that be? Not quite wire maintenance, but cable management. So just make it a little bit more presentable, and then just so that the cords aren't kind of hanging, because I just kind of have extension cords running, and they were out of the way and everything like that, and everything was safe. But I got like a lot of these little, it's like a, I don't know if it's stainless or aluminum, but they got rubber on them, so it's like basically like a cable, it's like a clamshell sort of. It's got like a through hole, and then it's got like a liner, so then you can just put it in there. So you just clamp it up and then shoot the screw. I don't know what it is about my damn garage, but like the one that, whatever I call the firewall, but the wall that separates the garage from the living quarters. Like, I don't know what it is, but like they must have just used like, whatever that board. Obviously there's studs there somewhere, but like it's just, like I'm doing bomb below, and it's like you can't even drill not even like an inch through it, so it's kind of a pain in the ass. So there's areas where I was using drywall anchors, but the areas where I can't go through, it's like if I put it in, it starts, you screw it and it starts bottoming out and it starts pulling itself out. So there we go again. The stupid thing just keeps zooming in and out. So yeah, so we did a lot of that. But I also had to like move stuff around, so my big tool chest, which weighs like God knows how much, had to move that out of the way. So, but it's looking really good. I want to kind of do it before it gets way too cold. So that's like one of my projects that I didn't want to do it in the middle of summer because I had some other things to do. We probably should drive the Camaro maybe tomorrow. And then we'll probably drain the coolant and finally put the real coolant in, because I got the flush in there. So kind of tired. Just got done eating, and it's like 9:30. So I don't know. I'm hoping to get to bed before. If I'm in bed by 11:30, we'll call that a win. But if I can get in bed around 11, that'd be even better. But because we gotta push it back. Yesterday was just. That's why I hate during the weekend when my damn schedule gets up, because then when I go back to work, it just gets all crappy, and You know, wait till you get a little older, guys. Man, I tell you one thing, man. When I was younger, man, I could drink a 2 liter of pop right before going to bed, and then I would just go out like a light switch, not even wake up for 7 hours straight. Wake up and feel like full of piss and vinegar and, take on the world, slam it down to the ground and say, bring me more, right? Now it's shit, If you have caffeine 6 hours before you go to bed, you ain't going to bed anymore. And then you wake up. It's like I'm lucky if I get like 4 hours of sleep before I first wake up, and then I call it the rotisserie chicken. So I sleep on my back for the first time, and then when I wake up, I just go on my side. And it's like almost like clockwork, like a exact hour, flip, 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 flip until the alarm gets up. But anyway, how you guys doing? I didn't see anything fantastic. Same old crap. The communists are trying to stop the government. Like, how many times has, the Republicans are gonna shut the government down. Now it's the Democrats' turn. It's like back and forth. And swear to God, and what's funny is all they do is like the infinite kicking of the can, because they never, ever, ever, ever fix this shit. And you would think after so many times, right? There's the debt ceiling part. And I think they finally just said, there is no ceiling or something. I'm trying to remember. It's something. It sounds like there's no ceiling, but I don't know. These fucking politicians sometimes. And then plus, right, you got the media, right? So you have no idea. It's like a lie within a lie. And it's not a double negative, unfortunately. But, because then they'll say, oh, okay, well, because they can't pass anything, right? So they go, oh, well, we'll just extend it 3 months, And then 3 months come, and guess what? They still haven't made an agreement. Oh, another 3 months. Another 3 months. But I'm trying to remember. I think the government was shut down for I don't know, a few months. I think that was in 2010 or 11. Something like that. I can't remember. I was hoping it was going to shut down for down for good and just never. Stupid lagging. I just saw it again. Yeah. But I think they've and then it always gets resolved the day or 2 days before, and it's always over a weekend. And so yeah, if you guys don't know, the government, how businesses have a financial plan, and when you submit a financial plan, you can always say what your fiscal calendar is. So you don't necessarily have to have your fiscal calendar start on January 1st, although a lot of companies do that. The government's, their fiscal year starts October 1st. So that's why this government whatever, man. Isn't it funny? It can spend infinite money, but yet they're going to shut the government down. What? And I don't know how many times they say that shit. It's just dude, just, the boy that cried wolf, but he cried wolf 130 times, and the one time, you saw the wolf's tail. So there's a wolf out there somewhere. But oh, there's a wolf, and you're like, no, dude, that's a dog. Oh, no, that's a husky, you damn kid. That's a husky. Yeah, it looks like, it looks like a wolf, but a wolf is bigger, all right? So, damn it, kid. Go back to school. Oh, wait, you got to go to a communist school. So, but anyway, that's just to say, so my birthday, October 1st, is so that's why it's a big deal, but it doesn't matter. Because I think 6 months ago they were talking, I don't know, sometime last year, I don't know, I have to dig it up, but they were talking about it before, and I'm just, and it was it wasn't even 2 months later, and then my friend says it again. I'm like, wait, dude, didn't they just, oh, well, that was, that, so there's the budget, which is oh, this is what we're going to spend, and then they call it appropriations. Yeah, no, so it's oh, well, this is what we're going to spend. And the other side says, well, yeah, where's the money coming from? So, and it's funny, right? Because like they're not synced. I mean, wouldn't you think they'd be synced? So they agreed to spend all the money, but they didn't agree to where they were going to get all the money from. I swear, you could get a bunch of like circus monkeys, put them in Washington D.C. and probably more shit would get done. Like it's. Do any of these people know? Like, I swear to God. This is why I believe, like, normal people should be serving in our government. And they should not be serving, like, decades in there. That needs to stop. I think they call it term limits. And it's so funny. The president has term limits, but no one else. Well, I'd rather have the president unlimited and all these, right? Because, the real shenanigans and the money making, it's in the, that's why. And that's why they'll never vote, because they're voting to restrict their restrict their power, right? So something big will happen, which I think it eventually will happen. It's just, they'll be forced to do it, right? But I believe in the founding fathers, this is what they were thinking as well, was that they would be very upset. I don't know, maybe beyond upset. They'd probably be throwing tea in Boston Harbor again. But no, they despised career politicians. They, you could serve for X amount of time and then you're just done, right? And I think they kind of were thinking, well, okay, maybe you could be, maybe you start off in Congress and then you go to the Senate and then maybe you run for president, something like that, right? But you don't, you're not, oh, hey, man, I started as an intern here at 18, got elected in at 24 and then, you're in there and you're like 85 and, 60, 6 decades later, you're still in there. And it's like, no, that's not what they, right? Because then you just stay in power and no one else can. But there's a better benefit than just that, because they believed it too, is that normal people know what's going on in the real world, right? And that's why they also, and I think everyone loses sight of this, is that how our form of government was meant to be used is that the county level was where it's at. That's kind of where they said, all right, right? That's why they wanted small federal government. They barely wanted any federal government. And then they said, all right, well, states have a little bit more say into what happens in their state. But and this is why, right? That's why it's called a constitutional republic. And most of the power is supposed to be held at the local level, at the county level. Like, the federal government wasn't supposed to tell what the county was supposed to do. The state wasn't allowed to do it either. That's not what. It's funny because everything's kind of flipped around now, and that's why they knew that was going to happen eventually, but. Because their thinking was the people from that local spot not only have a vested interest, but they also know what's going on in that area. So they know all the intimate details. I mean, it makes sense, but like, guess what? After a couple hundred years, the Civil War really kind of fucked that up to begin with. I mean, people want to say it was about slavery. I mean, it was. I mean, it turned into that. It got politicized. Not that it wasn't a thing, right? It was a thing, but it was actually on the way out because of the cotton gin. But, it came down to who had more power, the federal government or the state level. And unfortunately, right, things happened and it spiraled out of control, because if you actually study probably the last 30 years prior, probably maybe around 1840, those 20 years prior, it basically, stoked and pushed for that. To be honest, that they actually thought there was going to be something shortly after the War of 1812, but yeah, now you're getting a history lesson. I did not. I was just giving you guys a quick update. But anyway, we found one little thing, and we talked about this, and we talked about that. But I thought maybe that, because you don't talk about this stuff at all. Like in school, at least I was privileged to have know some of this in high school, and I was a senior because I think most people took it. I think you could take it in when you're a junior, but pretty much everyone took it in their 12th grade. And I took it like my last semester. And the guy was really good because he was like also the head football coach. But he was a great guy. He really, even though he's part of football, he was an educator first. So, but he won tons of, Michigan high school state championships. So Harrison Hawks, unfortunately, the high school is no longer there. Turned to a community center. It's huge. But yeah, I don't know. It's crazy. But anyway, where we're getting back to? Yeah. So, but a lot of people, especially when I was taking it, a lot of the kids didn't really even, they kind of took the test, got it right, and then it was like they didn't even bother. They within, a few weeks, they didn't even know what the hell they were, what was learned before. But, yeah. So I'm glad that I got a little bit of that, and then kind of found, a lot of this stuff is actually available and it's free. You just gotta go look for it. I mean, that's like a whole other thing, like libraries. Isn't it sad? I bet you there's a bunch of information in there. It's free. Anyone can go in there, and it's like no one goes anymore. It's kind of sad. I used to go quite a bit. I used to go like once a week. Yeah, now that you can get information, but I don't know. I still think there's a place for books. Obviously, books can be altered and whatnot, but if you actually have... That's why libraries were important. Not only were they a store of knowledge, right? But it was also a recording, right? It was, that's why certain books, you'd have the first version and the second version, and, and you could kind of have a, that's why physical research used to be a thing. Those card catalogs and shit, and it's a damn lost art, man. I remember doing that stuff for term papers and whatnot. Yeah, but, actually having those physical pieces, now that they're gone, or most of them are, right? It was all digitized. Oh, we have it. Oh, yeah, well, you can, pull the shit up and do like Ferris Bueller's Day Off. You go and you just change, it says 8 absences, and he changes it to 2, right? I mean, shit, that's going on. All right. And that's why, like, old, like, I don't know, I'm not quite old, but I'm just saying, like, most of you guys, you're probably what? You guys are probably at least 15 years younger than me, maybe even 20. Except for Mr. Homefront. He's got more wisdom than me, so it's good to have some people that have a little bit more now. But like, right, Mr. Homefront, like once you have to go to the next level, once I'm gone, there won't be anyone to remind anyone, what that stuff was. And especially nowadays where you got Chat GPT and it's just, I can see it. It's like, it's kind of scary in some ways. You're actually seeing it in live. Maybe carbon paper, Mr. Homefront. Carbon paper. You guys are like, what the hell is that? Yeah. Yeah. I remember like filling out forms and shit. You get like a clipboard. I still got a couple of clipboards. They're awesome. I love them. But anyway, like instead of having like, like I think when you would have like 3 or 4 copies, right? And one would be like white, one would be yellow, one would be pink. and you would trace it, right? So you would write on the top part, and the carbon, which was in between, it would trace down and it would make an imprint. So you had to be very. Which is also back when people had much better handwriting. Jeez. Right, but that's why penmanship used to be a thing. Yeah, no, I'm like a freaking dinosaur. Yeah, they taught us cursive too, in school. Phew, that's definitely a lost art. Or reading it, or reading a damn a clock that has the hands. You know what's funny is I have watches. It doesn't even have anything. It just has the little. I call it a diamond. I don't know what it is. It might be like a little bit of a diamond, but it's not much. But it has it at 12, right? And that's it. And there's just the hands. I know exactly. I know what time it is. I know how to read it. I actually prefer those. But anyway, like 20 minutes. What the hell am I gonna name this? But yeah, anyway, carbon. It would, make that imprint, and I call them the chunkers. So before, yeah, we gotta have another beer. So credit cards, yeah, Mr. Homefoot remembers this one probably too. Well, actually, I'm trying to remember. I think there might have been a different way beforehand with credit cards. But I remember when I got my first credit card, 1992 or 3? I can't remember, right around there. I think I was like in my second year of college or something. But they had these strips, and it was kind of like the same thing. So there was like a white copy, and I'm trying to remember, I think there was three versions. So it was like I think it was the same colors. So the top one, the white one, I think that was the one that they kept. I can't remember because it would say merchant. That's why when you go to the restaurant, there's a merchant and a. That's kind of like a throwback from that era. But anyway, maybe it's a little bit different. I don't know. Mr. Homefront can correct me. But the credit cards had those 3 pieces of paper. And they actually had the carbon in between them. So, and you would have this, that's why the credit cards used to have raised embossed numbers. And it had a person, your name on it. I'm trying to remember when they got rid of the paper, but then the credit card still had the raised numbers. I don't know. It was probably transitioning. And you had like this, rectangle. But you had this little thing that slid, and it was like chunk. And because you put it, it was a recess for the card, and the letters were embossed, and the paper was on top, and this thing it would come and press down on it, and it would slide it back and forth. So it was always under a consistent pressure for the most part. And there'd be 3 of them. I think there was 3 of them. There was at least 2. They kept the copy. You would get it as part of the receipt. And they're like, oh, do you want the carbon? I'm like, yeah. Because, and a long time ago, people started ripping people off, right? But the carbon paper, you would still see a little bit of it. And back then, all you needed was the numbers. And like some places, you didn't even have to tell them the expiration date. You just, here's my number. Here's my credit card number. You're like, what the fuck is going on? And oh my God, I remember those days. I'm like, who the hell got my credit card? I'm like, I don't know, man. That one person at Kmart. You guys had Kmarts down in Ohio, Mr. Homefront? God, Kmart. Dude, you guys have no idea. Kmart, like here up in Michigan, because there was, like, Walmart wasn't a thing for, I don't know how long. I'm trying to remember. I think the first Walmart that I know that in Michigan, it had to have been maybe 99. Like, it's like 2000, something like that. But Kmart was a huge thing. I don't remember exactly. It was Kregsky, right? But that's why it's called Kmart. God, they were all over the place here in Michigan. And I think they had some in Ohio and Indiana. I can't remember, but they were big time in Michigan. and that was like the equivalent of Walmart before Walmart was a thing. Because I Sam Walton, I think he was more Midwesty. Like, even though Michigan's Midwest, like, I don't fucking Michigan. It's like we are in a separate world. It's like there's the Midwest, this, that, oh, and then there's Michigan, right? Oh, there's this and that, and then there's Michigan, right? We have two peninsulas, Why? I don't know. I think I had to do something with the war with Ohio where some cow died, unfortunately, or something. I can't remember. But that's why there's that little chunk we gave Toledo. I think that was a good trade. Toledo for the UP. Oh, jeez, that's... UP's awesome. I've gone up there, and it's like I'm trying to remember, like, once you get past St. Ignace, and you start really going toward, I think that's Iron Mountain, something like that, Copper Canyon. There's got the Porcupine Mountains way the hell. Gosh, you start going up there, man, you look like you're going to a whole nother world, guys. I don't know if that, going way up in Canada, all those, like, I call it reindeer country. When you see it, maybe when it's not all like permafrost. Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't even look like the planet Earth, to be honest. Yeah, that'd be kind of cool to do one day if we can. But anyway, we're babbling. But did you guys like the crazy history lesson? Oh, man. Yeah, like I said, it would be cool to live. What is it? It's kind of like, I don't know. I wouldn't be opposed to this, but if it doesn't happen right, excuse me. So one of the things that would be cool is that if I get to witness January 1st, 2100, I don't know. I think so, but I think if that's the case, I think I'd be 125 or 126. So it's possible. I don't know. I just, I'd make it and be like, all right, I can go, and then do, and just. But a part of me also wants to be like the living curator, I call it the living Encyclopedia Britannica. But I also tell people, I said, I'll have witnessed it, and people be coming to me, right? They'll be wanting to get firsthand knowledge, and it'll be like anything, just like I call it human nature. So I'll tell them exactly what goes on, and then they'll be like, "Oh no, that's not how it went. This is what we said in school." I'm like, "No, I don't care what they tell you in school. This is what happened. I was there." "Oh, I don't know. This old guy, he's." So the reason why I say that is because I'm trying to remember. I don't know if Virgil or Homer or what. I don't know. But I think it's kind of that irony thing, right? You're there, and you're trying to tell the history, but the people of the time don't want to listen to you, even though you lived and experienced it. I think that's been a thing for all humanity, but I think it'd be kind of cool if I get to live that long, and then I get to describe to them how life was in 1970, the late 70s. They'll be like, "What? What? You rode a what's it called? A bicycle?" Right? And I'll probably look different. Like, people, maybe they're, because one of the things that they say about like the tall, the skinny aliens, not the gray aliens or the green ones. They say like they're us from a future. So I don't know. Anyway, we'll just go with that, right? But maybe over time our bodies change, right? So I might look complete. They might have a bigger head with bigger eyeballs, and they're looking at me like, "What the hell?" And maybe they don't even use voice. Maybe they're more telepathic, right? And they'll be like, "What the hell? We came from this, primordial soup." I don't know. Anyway, yeah, just the rantings, but that would be kind of cool, right? To be living there, and they would be like, oh my God, that was like over 100 years ago. I don't know. I wish, damn, that would be cool. I tell you, man, if there was like someone, like imagine if like you were like, 5 years old, 6 years old, and you had like a great grandpa that was still alive, but he was like 105 or something. And he's like telling you about how, life was when he was your age. That would be fucking cool. Pardon my, that would be cool. Right? Because if I was born, let's see, 73, 78. So imagine someone's talking to me. So they're talking about how life was in like 1873, like shortly after the Civil War. Oh my God. Anyway. Hope you guys had a good time. I did not think I'd have another 30 minutes in me, but I just kept going. Added history. Maybe we'll call that strange history. That's what we'll strange history. All right, guys, we found the stop button. Hopefully we'll just tape something kind of quick in the garage. I'll show you what I'm doing, where I'm at, and some of the things I have on the docket. Yeah, get more views. Come on, more subs. Send money this way. I don't need the money personally, but it'd be nice if I could get money so that I can upgrade my equipment. All right, that's kind of... But I haven't made a penny yet. Maybe one day. Anyway, we found the stop button. See you guys. Bye.